Hi everyone, welcome to my review of Jackie Chan's Police Story 2 from 1988. As yes, we are back once again, very successful on the channel. This time around, Jackie Chan is back, and we're talking about the follow-up, the sequel to Police Story, which we discussed back in February on the channel, and I had a really nice time watching that film, talking about that film as well on the channel, and yeah, here we are today. Last night, finally got around to seeing the second film, and yeah, you really enjoyed this film. We'd like to talk about it today on the channel. And first of all, there will be a spoiler warning for this discussion. Everything in this film, I simply recommend seeing it first and then come back to this video, and we can go from there. We can talk about this from the comments, and yeah, celebrate cinema. Yes. With all that said, let's discuss my thoughts on this film, and yeah, this will just get straight into it. It was a really kind of solid film, really nice, kind of charming follow-up to the first film, and even though it's very clear from the beginning, this is not going to be as kind of grand, as kind of these big action set pieces, as big scale as the first film, and not as slapstick based as the first. I thought it was something that actually, with the first 45-50 minutes, despite all that, I was thinking overall as a film, just at the flow of it and the enjoyability of the characters and the plot and everything, the balance of all these elements, and just the comedy as well in there with the romance. I was actually thinking, this was probably going to be, one that I enjoyed more than the first film. Actually, it was off to a better start even than the first. So I was really pleased with that, and I think the first hour in general is just consistently, really engaging and really funny at times. The action, when it is there, of course, is less action, less big scale action, but it is just so choreographed again. Jackie Chan directed this film, the action so well, and I just think some of the hand-to-hand combat is next level stuff. It's just on par, obviously, for me, I think with the first film in that sense. It's just not got these huge, kind of action set pieces with cars and all this kind of stuff like the first film had. Even though the final act, that was really next level at times and really creative there and, intense. It wasn't still as big scale as the first film, but, that didn't really necessarily bother me. It was just a very different approach in that sense. But yeah, first 50 minutes was just so enjoyable, and, I thought in this film, we have the return of Tung, and he, kind of playing Uncle Bill, this character, obviously, and it's really, really funny to see him in the film again, and the inspector as well, with the kind of double act that they had in the first film, and I thought that was way more enjoyable in this film at first, especially, and we have all these characters, with Jackie Chan, his character, of course, and yeah, just these three together, kind of trying to, get Jackie Chan, at one point to kind of remain on the force, and he wants to leave, of course, and some really good comedy there, kind of between the two of those characters, trying to get him to stay in that sense, and it all kind of going wrong, and obviously Jackie Chan's character kind of at one point then, kind of decides to go on holiday for 3 months, of course, with Maggie May, his girlfriend, and that's really funny when they go on. They get geared up to go on the plane, and the stuff mix up with the passports, all this kind of stuff, and yeah, he obviously misses her. She goes on the plane, and she goes without him, and that's a really funny moment, in the film, and just the way in which Jackie Chan, when they kind of try and bring him back, at one point, and he says no, he's not going to do this, and he gets more invested, in the plot, with the bomb kind of scare there, and the whole kind of blackmail plot there, and the case, and he kind of gets immersed, and then, kind of he gets, he doesn't realise how immersed he's getting, and then in the end he does agree to kind of go back on the force, for this case here. And yeah, I just really enjoyed the moment when Jackie Chan kind of, through his actions, the way he approaches this kind of bomb situation in this mall, of course, when he's on vacation, he kind of, what he kind of does there kind of leads to, obviously, all those lives being saved, and then, of course, he is, through that, eventually reinstated, back onto the force, and then he is assigned, with this case, obviously the whole kind of bomb, plot and the threat going on, throughout, and that's when he does obviously start to investigate more, this, and obviously we have a return of various villains from the first film, and in this film as well, the first 45-50 minutes, especially when they were more involved with, Jackie Chan, I think the ones that did return from the first film, I enjoyed even more, and I think they were way more amped up and more kind of campy in this one, just more entertaining, more kind of charming in this, and really, really funny moments in this at first, when, they're kind of, these villains are kind of, going after Jackie Chan, obviously Maggie Chan, and kind of stalking them in a sense, and harassing them, at the apartment, all this kind of stuff. We've got the bit where Maggie Chan, kind of throws the water out the window, and it, of course, goes on to Jackie Chan instead of the villains there, and really funny moments like this, the restaurant as well, and he goes back for revenge in that kind of sense, and yeah, just really, really funny moments, and I think the villains overall, throughout, even just with the new villains, just the way it was done throughout, I did enjoy this way more than the first film, and it was just more kind of enjoyable, comedic stuff with the villains. And we've got this kind of gimmicky character as well, really, really funny, kind of quirky character, who appears to be deaf, and, then, as well, we have the kind of, at first, Jackie Chan, underestimated in a sense, this character, and he does turn out to be, obviously someone who, gets the upper hand in different moments, throughout the final act especially, and, takes on loads of different characters, and he's this kind of legendary, kind of martial artist, fighter here really, and we've got him and Jackie Chan, in the final act, kind of going at each other, and I think that was just so, so well done there, and just really comedic, and just epic, with this character who, Jackie Chan's character and different characters underestimate, at first, and then it leads to some really epic moments, in that final act, and we've got all the firecrackers as well, and the fireworks, in the final act. That's something that, with the action there, I guess, still not as big scale as the first film, but that was a real standout, kind of action set piece where it's just so creative, so tense and layered, and going up the building there, and just the part as well where Jackie Chan goes through the chute, and then the whole bag of fireworks, firecrackers, is thrown down, and then Jackie Chan, of course, stops himself, and it goes through his legs, and it kind of blows up, within the middle of this, and the whole thing collapses and swings, and it was just a really creative moment, and really tense, and that was just so well done, and all the way in which all these explosives and just the environments used in the final act, this was something else, and I just thought it was so well done. The choreography, just Jackie Chan, especially the way he reacts to his surroundings. This is something that I was really impressed with, and it's just so immersive, the action in this part of the film, and just the way this was shot at times was really, really solid as well, I think just some really unique shots in this film, blocking, and I think the editing as well, especially in the action, it's just so well done. We do have a part of the film though, which I'll talk about now, is something that lets it down quite a bit, it's around really half an hour or so of the film, so it's quite a big chunk, and it's from especially the hour mark, just over that, all the way through until, around the 95 minute mark, really, where we have just a lot of investigating, of Jackie Chan, his squad as well, and, the surveillance team, and just kind of going around investigating, following different leads, and all this kind of stuff, and it's just montage sequences, and, I think it just loses me, different parts like this. There's about, probably about 10-minute, kind of stretch of that part, of the film where it's just non-stop, just characters kind of going in and out of buildings and all this kind of stuff, and this music that's played in a bit of a repetitive way, just the way it was done, and I think the flow was broken there, and in a sense as well, it just wasn't as engaging with what was going on with the villains there, and some dull sequences there as well, some dull parts, couldn't quite make out what was going on really there, and it was just a bit, kind of dark in places, and I just didn't really enjoy this as much as the rest of the film. It did pick up again, in that last kind of 25 minutes really of the film for the final act, where there's way more action again, and it's just more enjoyable, and we see obviously the final moments where May and of course Jackie Chan's character, of course, are reunited there, and just kind of watching the fireworks, and he says, how beautiful it is, kind of thing, and that is the final, real shot of the film, and then of course we have in the credits the kind of behind the scenes / outtakes, and this was so great as always, just like the first film, and I love seeing this, the kind of how dangerous this was. A lot of the kind of moments that went wrong, obviously, we see that, and just as well, some really funny moments there, and it's really, really cool to see that again. And that is one of the cool things about this and Police Story 1 as well. It's something that I really enjoyed in the end. Seeing Jackie Chan, just seeing him kind of directing in that sense behind the scenes. It was really cool, and this is just, I think, from start to finish, we have some really great action. I think there's not a point where the action isn't, great stuff. It's just the way the film flows at times, and I think the way it kind of develops in the middle of the film, and when it really starts to open out, the plot, and loads of different characters coming and going, and the real, investigation of detective play, is underway here. I think that is when the film loses me, and it really is something that lets the film, down quite a bit, and overall, I can't quite say that I enjoy it as much as the first, because it wasn't, something I was huge on at all. 35, minutes of the film really, it was quite dull and uninvesting, and it did become, a bit tiresome and a bit boring really for me. So that really let the film down, unfortunately. I think based on the first 50 minutes, especially though, I probably would have preferred this to the first film, and think it has some things that are, improvements over the first. This one as well is not as much comedy based with the romance, in this with Maggie Cheung, of course. But I do actually overall think, especially at first in the first half of the film, the romance was actually more engaging in this one. So that was something I did take as well, over the first film, even though it was very different and it wasn't as comedic. I enjoyed that element more, of the first film. I think this one was just more investing, the character development here, and seeing Maggie Cheung, Jackie Chan together again, and how they do have kind of flashback moments to the first film, and that was really funny, and just the kind of moped there, the motorbike, that was really funny there, and just as well I think the way they kind of at first are going on vacation together, and their relationship in this film I think throughout is just a bit more enjoyable for me, and something I got behind more than the first film personally. I did have a really, really fun time with this film, even though there was quite a dull stretch of the film there, in the middle portion. I think the final act, as I say, really picked it up again, and I thought the action throughout was stunning in this film. Jackie Chan was hilarious in this film. The performances from Jackie Chan and Maggie Cheung, in this, and Tung as well, especially, was so good. And as I say, quite a few of the characters that return in this film I did enjoy, even more than the first. And I think based on the first 50 minutes of the film, I would have preferred this to the first film actually, even though it wasn't as big scale and as slapstick heavy. I think I did actually prefer this, but unfortunately did go off the rails a bit. And in the end, overall, it's not a film that quite compares to the first film. That magic, that consistency, and just the action in that film, and overall, how engaging it is, throughout the film from start to finish. I do prefer the first film, but this is a worthy sequel. So overall, my rating for this film is a 71%. So definitely a really solid score from me. And as a sequel, as a follow-up to the first film, this is a really, really enjoyable film here. And just once again, really, really pleasant, kind of charming film. This just really nice to watch. Very kind of peaceful moments in this, and really enjoyed the characters again. As I say, even more than the first film, and the action throughout is quite stunning. Just not as big scale, obviously, as the first film, as I said, but it really just an enjoyable film. This, and even though it has that quite a big portion of the film that I wasn't really that into actually, too much with the plot and all this kind of stuff, and the way it unravelled, and just the whole enjoyability of that part of the film, even though that did, bring the film down quite a bit. I think despite that, really enjoyable film overall, and I think the first hour especially was just such a good time, and the final act as well, really full of some stunning action, and some really funny moments there as well. And I think Jackie Chan in this film, once again, absolutely legendary. Some of the stunts in this are next level, and I think just all the hand-to-hand combat, here, the way they kind of use their environments as well in this film, and the choreography is just absolutely stunning, and I think some real just hilarious moments as well, with quirky kind of villains as well, kind of stand out, gimmicky villains that are kind of they elevate the gimmicks, and it makes it so enjoyable at times, especially just in the final act of the film, and the whole kind of portion with the firecrackers there, and that was just so creative, as I say, and just so enjoyable there. But overall, definitely a fun film, and really, really solid follow-up to the first. So that's my thoughts. What do you think on this film? We've got to see in the comments your thoughts on this film, your experience with this film, and how's it compared for you to the first film in the franchise? And next up will be Super Cop, Police Story 3 from 1992, and that's one that I cannot wait to see, and I'll be talking about that over the next few weeks on the channel as well. But really, really pumped up for that film, and really, really enjoyed both of these films so far. And if you're interested, my review for the first film is up, and that was done in February, and you can check out my thoughts on that film in detail if you want. And for now, it's been great to discuss this film, and let's discuss this all down below in the comments, and celebrate cinema. So yes, as always, take care, and thanks for watching.